All right, guys, I am on with Mr. Adam Abel. And if you guys don't know Adam, well, it's your loss, honestly, because Adam is one of the greatest guys that I know. He is a fantastic producer of GoFilms. And it's funny because we've been kind of reminiscing a little bit today and talking about all the funny projects that I was a part of that they did way back when I was first getting into acting. Now, I decided to get into acting back in 2004. And that was like when I said, I'm going to be an actor. And like my very first few projects, like when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in an actual feature film, was ones that Adam was producing. And so we'll definitely take a stroll down memory lane a little bit. But it was awesome. And I kind of wanted to talk to Adam today a little bit about how he got into producing and some of the projects that he's been working on since. So Adam, thanks for joining me on this crazy adventure I've been having.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, Jaron. It's good to be able to visit with you
Yeah,
and walk down that memory lane. That was fun to set
dude.
some of these clips up that we'll show people because
I'm excited about it.
That's good. That's good.
So, dude, let's talk first off of like how you even got into producing. And in fact, Adam, I don't even know if you would ever remember this, but I actually had a phone call with you back when I was first getting into acting, like first. And I asked you about producing. And like, I remember you were like telling me all this stuff. And I was just like, dude, this is going way over my head. But I was just honored you would take the time to talk to me. But yeah, how did you, because it seems like you and Ryan Little have been partners for a really long time.
Yeah.
And you guys have been doing a lot of projects together. So how did you first get involved and what was that journey like?
Yeah. So Ryan and I met while we were both students at in school. And this was way back in 1998. So I had I think it was May of 1998. And the reason why I remember this is because I had completed my first semester of school after having served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and became acquainted with Ryan and a number of other people that I'm still friends with to this day on a project that was being done at the motion picture studio. And Ryan was some type of an intern, like a legitimate intern where he was receiving credit for school, and I was hired as a production assistant. But we both worked as production assistants, and it was on a project where there were just way too many production assistants. So it ended up being like, I was trying to figure out a way to stay busy, and then some of us learned that you just let other people be busy if they want to be busy. Anyway, but yeah, Ryan and I met then and developed a friendship. And Ryan, and hopefully you'll have your people that are listening will know Ryan, but he has a way of teasing people, and he's assured me that he teases people that he likes. At least that's what I'm hoping. So anyway,
I hope he's been teasing me for a very long time.
So like you, I've been on the receiving end of his teasing, and that was the case from the very beginning. But through that teasing, we became good friends and ended up working on a variety of projects on the same project, but in different capacities, and ultimately determined that, I made a decision in April of 2002 that as I was getting close to completing my education, that, listen, if I'm going to do this film thing, I'm all in, and it's time to just do it. And I always knew that I wanted to be a producer. That was always the function that I wanted to do. I enjoyed the creative process of that aspect, as well as the business aspects. I studied business in school, and I went to Ryan and I said to him, I'd like to do this. Do you have anything that you would like to do? I admired him. He'd done other projects as a student, and some that garnered a great deal of attention. And so I appreciated his abilities creatively, but also just enjoyed our friendship. And so we decided to get together, and that's how we came together to do our first film called Saints and Soldiers. And from Saints and Soldiers, Ryan and I have been business partners since. So it's Oh, it's approaching well, I guess it's over 17 years now. Almost 18. 18 in October. So
When did Saints and Soldiers come out again?
well, the film was released in theaters in August of '04, but we had done a full year of film festival uh, screenings for a year before that. So we started the film festival tour in August of '03,
Yeah.
and it literally took us all over the world. And certainly the film itself set us up to be in a good place to begin our company and our partnership. So
Well, it's so crazy because I'd also had served mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I got home in 2002, and one of the people that I served with, Corbin Allred, is one of the lead actors of Saints and Soldiers. And so, I remember Corbin, even in the mission, like he had already been acting in a lot of other TV shows and movies and stuff like that. And so it was this huge deal when he booked this war film, right? And we were all thinking about it and talking about, oh my gosh, this looks so cool. I got to see the trailer and I was like, whoa. And I was shocked then when I found out that like students that went to the same university I went to ended up making this movie. And if you guys haven't seen, especially that first one was just like so mind blowing, right? And my dad, who's a huge like World War I, World War II buff, like loves war movies, loved Saints and Soldiers. He just loved it so much. And so I remember going to the theater and watching it. And if I'm not mistaken, like it was in the theater for quite a while.
yeah, it was 8+ months in the theater. It was a pretty incredible run.
Dude, if I got a screening for like a week, I'd be stoked. But 8 months in the theater, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was also Keem Charan at a time where we didn't have streaming and people actually still wanted to go out and have an experience. So it was a little bit of a different time.
It was a bit of a different time, but the thing was, at the time that it released, it like came at the opportune time. And I remember just hearing you guys' names, Ryan Little, Adam Abel, just like kind of take off, and you guys were doing all kinds of fun stuff. Now,
yeah, I think this would be a great place to show your involvement in our one of our other films that we did.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, let's do a little bit of preface. So okay. The next one of the next films that you did was The Outlaw Trail, right? Which is kind of like it's like a continuation of the Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid story in a way. There's a little bit of a thing there. I just barely got into acting. All right, I decided in 2004 I wanted to be an actor, and the opportunity arose for me to act in an actual Ryan Little, Adam Abel movie. These are the guys that made Saints and Soldiers. And anyway, the clip you're about to see is my contribution to that movie.
And it was fantastic. I mean, Charan, he hit it out of the park. So here, I'm going to try to share the screen, and hopefully everything goes well.
Sounds good.
Here we go. Yeah, hit share. Okay, you see it?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. That's not
see Charan. Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Be careful with that gun.
Butch Cassidy. Give up or die, Yankees! Come on, keep them occupied, Sundance.
Of course, mayhem ensues.
Mayhem ensuing. Now,
and it just.
This is the thing. This is the most ridiculous thing. And this is how my memory with these guys even came to be, because I have never really shot a gun before, and I truly have not shot a gun since. That experience traumatized me. My hands, first off, I was freezing. It was a very cold time when we were shooting that. Not making any excuses, but a little bit of an excuse. So my hands were freezing, and I could not pull I don't know what you call it, like the, what is that? It's not the trigger, it's the...
You can pocket?
Yeah. I couldn't pull it to save my life unless I had to use both hands. And Ryan's like, use one hand, please, just use one hand. I'm like, dude, I can't. And so it was John Lyde, the editor of the film, had to do all kinds of creative choices to cut around me attempting to shoot that gun, and it was hilarious.
So it's awesome though. But look
Yeah.
at that. Everyone starts somewhere.
Dude, of course. I mean, Ryan still doesn't let that story go, and I don't think he ever should. I don't think he ever should.
Well,
But
you
so
have to be sure to talk to him about it when you interview him.
yeah, no, I will. I absolutely will. Because the thing was, here's the deal. We had a funny experience snowboarding, which I'll ask him about too. So we both have funny stories. But Adam, right after that, you guys went on to do the Forever Strong film,
Yeah.
right? And both Outlaw Trail and Forever Strong were fantastic films. And I mean, Forever Strong, I remember, was just like such an inspirational movie, you know. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's about rugby actually, which isn't the most common sport in the U.S. But yet, I felt like the story you told was extremely heartfelt and it was very motivational. You guys got some great scenes. Tell me about making that film and how that all went for you.
Well, of course, every good movie starts with a compelling story, and the story of Larry Gelwick's coach Larry Gelwick's and what he achieved during his time as the head coach of the Highland rugby team was incredible. Beyond their performance of like 418 wins to like 20 losses and like 20 national championships, that's impressive, you know, certainly from a sports perspective. But more impressive is the effects that he, of course, had on the lives of his players. And so the process, of course, with Forever Strong, we had made Outlaw Trail, which of course you were in, and we were approached by the executive producer of Outlaw Trail, Brad Pello, who had some clippings that kind of detailed Larry's story. And he said, "Is this something that you guys would be interested in doing?" We said, "Of course." And so the process, of course, became to get a screenwriter, which was David Plyler, and David really got into the weeds with Larry and his story and spent countless hours with him, and finally determined, after all of this history of he could gain, he decided, well, why don't we take some of these stories while they might have been in different seasons, and let's just make one complete season that they have. So they're actual stories from all seasons, or a lot of the seasons that are compiled into one season. Anyway, so it worked out really well, and of course it was received really well by audiences, and you know, it's still to this day we get requests from all over the world to, you know, be able to license it to do for various usages of broadcast and streaming, and certainly even individual like sport groups, clubs that want to like inspire their teams, they'll license, that are, you know, even church groups and youth groups and schools, and, you know, there's just it was a story that was an honor to be a part of and telling and bringing it out to the world. And it's you know, certainly one that I've never forgotten that experience, and certainly one we're super proud of. So.
Man, I remember when you guys were making that film, and yeah, it was just so great when that film came out. It was just, I don't know, I was just so inspired by it. I mean, I think like you guys really were able to tell like such a powerful, impactful story. And look, even now, you still have that that impact, right? Which I think is so awesome because, dude, I think as an actor, as a filmmaker, one of the hopes is not just that you make money on your film, you can do it again, which is always a very nice thing, but also that you're able to tell a story that can impact people, you know, a long time, you know, and people can keep watching it.
I mean, obviously, a primary motivating factor for us with GoFilms, Ryan and I, is we certainly want to entertain people like everyone else, but also as part of that entertainment, you know, be able to uplift and inspire people in some form or fashion with that entertainment, so that it's more than just, you know, mindless entertainment, but something that uplifts and inspires.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and you guys have done a great job. I mean, and it's great because, I mean, what I've loved is like, you know, you did movies like Outlaw Trail, Forever Strong, that had like, you know, pretty significant budgets as far as independent films go. And then you've also done some lower budget projects, but still kind of kept maintaining like that same quality, that same deal, you know. And there's like a whole series of films we could talk about, but I guess I'd gone to LA, and then I had come back to do a couple different projects. And one of the films that I worked on, which I actually didn't even know that you guys were producing till a little while into it. Well, not a little while into it, was until I got more involved in cast. Was We Love You, Sally Carmichael.
Yeah.
And so tell me about that project and how you guys did that, because that's definitely a lot lower budget than Outlaw Trail and Forever Strong, but yeah, well, still fun story.
So We Love You, Sally Carmichael was again a movie that came about because Darren Tufts and Dave Nibley approached me and kind of pitched this idea of doing this romantic comedy but unique, and then discussed the fact that Chris Gorham was going to be involved, and that we could potentially do it as Chris Gorham's directorial debut, and so Chris was all in on it, and really brought a great deal to the project, and leveraged his relationships with so many known people, and that were a great addition to the project, and expanded it beyond the micro budget that we were dealing with. But it really turned out great, and of course you were cast in it.
Oh man, I was very honored to be a part of that. I mean, it was interesting. Darren Tufts had messaged me a couple times, and I sent in a couple auditions, but I know Chris was trying to populate the whole film with a lot of the folks that he knew from LA. So I honestly had no expectation of getting anything like that. I was like, well, it was just a fun time to audition, and it'd have been fun to work on it. So it was actually probably like a month and a half or two later that randomly I get a message from Darren, and he's like, so dude, do you want to work on my film or not? Like, he was like, like as if I was the one that was like holding back the answer. I'm like, are you kidding me? So it kind of like went from there, and it was awesome. And I really had a great time working on that. That was back in 2016, I believe.
Yeah. In fact, we made that in June of 2016, right before we began our television series Extinct. And
in fact, I remember you were talking about Extinct on set. I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing too. So that's. You want to show the clip of?
I do want to show a clip because this shows where you started in 05 with us.
Yes.
And the performance is amazing. So
well, I didn't have to hold a gun, so let's just say that.
You didn't have to hold a gun, but you're holding a whisk in this scene.
It was good.
Okay, let's see here. How do I push play here?
There.
Okay.
Simon, it's Philip, Barry Quinn's executive assistant.
I know who you are, Philip. What can I do for you?
He wants to know why you haven't responded to his text.
He only sent one text.
Right, and he wants to know why you haven't responded to it.
All it said was, you dog.
And he wants to know why you haven't responded to it.
Oh man.
So good, dude.
Dude, that was the best. You know what's funny about that scene? In fact, I think I remember either you whispered it to Chris or Ryan whispered it to Chris, but he didn't cut. It was like someone said to him, "Don't cut. Like don't cut. Like just see what happens." So I remember just like staring off into nothing, just like keep staring that thing, and I'm like, oh, I got no lines, I got nothing, and then finally, I think I broke or something like that, like well beyond the time of when it took to do it. But
that was fun. It was always fun. It was a fun movie to work on. It's fun to work on it with friends. It was particularly fun to have you on set, and I wish we could show all of the little scenes because just it's so good. Such a great character for you.
Oh no, I really appreciate it, man. I mean, it was so fun because, so much of the work I've done, and I'm not faulting this or being upset at it. Like it's great, but so much of the work I've done involved me having an Indian accent, right? And that's just the character. I've just played a character that had an Indian accent, and it's totally fine. But this was cool because I didn't have to have an accent. It wasn't a character that required an accent. And but yeah, just like this kind of like an overly cheerful business guy. And it's hilarious because there are so many random projects I get. I find like people like recognize me from, and Sally Carmichael was one of them. They're like, "Wait, are you that guy?" But here's the funny thing, and this is I've noticed this about myself when I see myself on film. When I'm like usually when my weight fluctuates between 150 and 160 pounds or something, or maybe a little bit more than 160, but it always is fluctuating there. And what I've noticed is when I'm on the latter end, the first place you notice that I get fat is in my face. Okay, my face just gets a little bit fatter, but I'm still kind of trim, just a little bit fatter. And then when I lose a little bit, it goes off in my face. So whenever I look, I'm like, okay, I was talking about 158 or 160 pounds in that particular project. But it's great. It's hilarious to see how that all works out.
Well, it's funny that you mention that because as you know, I normally wear a beard. So when I shave my beard, I feel like my face is like heavier and a little chubbier.
Oh, dude, you look fantastic, man. It's great. So let's talk about Extinct for a second because that was a really cool project, and you were mentioning that to me during the time of Sally Carmichael, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because you were working with I forgot the writer, but you were also working with Orson Scott Card, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, right? Yeah.
So Aaron Johnston is the writer, but yeah. So we obviously, as you know, whether those watching or not know, but we had done obviously additional Saints and Soldiers films.
Yep.
And we've done a number of movies, and we just got to a point where we wanted to do something different. And so the initial approach and what the genesis behind Extinct came because we discussed the possibility of doing a science fiction feature film. And that was the initial approach, where Ryan and I went and sat with Scott Card and Aaron Johnston back at his home, Scott Card's home in North Carolina. And we spent 3 days with them, just kind of brainstorming. And I mean, he's obviously, he and Aaron are a genius when it comes to science fiction. And it was just a lot of fun to participate in the process and watch them and their minds work. And from all of that, there's some initial concepts and ideas even Ryan, felt strongly about. And so initially it was something that Aaron Johnston and Ryan were going to write together out of, the concepting out of Scott Card's mind. And so the initial script that was in February. We did that in February of 2015.
Okay.
And by September of that year, we had a script, and that script I read that script coincidentally the day before I had a birthday sushi meal with a former content director at a network, and I had no expectation that I was going to try to pitch him on an idea of taking this feature film concept and going into television. It was just simply like I'd read the script, it was fresh in my mind, and then he decided we'd get together for some sushi on my birthday. And then while we were having sushi, he started talking about kind of where he was at and different directions and focuses that they had, and a lack of something that they wanted, and to be able to reach an audience that they didn't feel that they were successfully reaching. And it was him saying all these things where I just kind of was like, well, I just read this script that we're going to, initially wanted to do as a feature, but quite frankly, to do the justice to what has been created and the world that's been created, wow, if we could do this as an episodic series, this would be fantastic. And so I pitched him. He's like, well, yeah, well, tell me about it. So I told him just kind of generally about the concept of the story. And he's like, let's talk more about this. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. So then I went back after that and reached out to Ryan and Aaron and Scott Card and said, okay, well, here's a potential change in approach. And, you know, as Aaron has so eloquently said before, he's like, at first his reaction was like, yeah, I don't think I don't know about that. But over a little bit of time, the kind of this idea of being able to explore it and, you know, this world and expand the world and be what really the original concept of extinct about, you know, 400 years in the future and humans are extinct and all of a sudden they're coming back, and, you know, there's all these questions that are asked as to what led to the extinction and how in the world did they come back 400 years in the future. I mean, it really was the foundational kind of what the world could be. And then Scott Card and Aaron Johnson just jumped on it and dug in, and we, and of course, then we're able to get it approved and did a season of that.
Dude, you know, it's so crazy because I love like a good sci-fi. I think one of my favorite sci-fi series is Battlestar Galactica. And I don't know if you've seen that one or heard of it.
Yeah, of course.
And and one of the reasons I think I liked it was just like, it just showed like, I don't know, humanity in a very like, at its best and at its worst, right?
Sure.
But one thing I was so impressed with you guys was sci-fi requires a really good budget. If you want to like, if you're trying to create an actual world, like a world that's not our own, or maybe it is our own, but like maybe with enhancements or things like that, requires a lot of budget, requires a lot of effects. And yeah, I was amazed that you guys were able to like tell a story with, I don't know if you had like the biggest budget in the world to tell like a sci-fi story, but you were able to tell the sci-fi story. So.
Well, that's obviously, you know, with the broadcast partner that we were with, which is BYU Television, BYUtv.org. You know, you can stream Extinct now if you want to see it. Any of you people want to see it, it's BYUtv.org/extinct is, I think, the vanity URL that takes you there. But they obviously they're not NBC, so we were looking at $5 or $7 million an episode. Yeah. You know, there was limitations to what they had, but I think one of the things that Ryan and I have been able to prove over the life of our careers that we're able to do things, you know, production wise beyond what is actually there, because we're making choices to make as much on the screen as possible, and hopefully, you know, have been able to accomplish that. And so, but it was ambitious. We had done visual effect work in our feature film endeavors, but if I think if we had understood that there was going to be 1,500 visual effects over a 10 episode period, you know, that ultimately that's where we would land. We probably would have been overwhelmed, but it was just the process of bringing it about. And there was a great team that was involved in every aspect of it. There was, you know, the crew, the cast, everyone involved. We're all in it. And you know this as an actor, when you get to participate in a project that's beyond just a paycheck, but that you are passionate about, you know, you give a better performance. Everything is just better. And so it's fun to be a part of those projects where you recognize that everyone involved at whatever capacity, from everyone from a production assistant up to an executive producer, everyone involved is in it because they believe in what you're doing. And that was a unique opportunity with Extinct. And I believe that it translated. Now, of course, we did one season. And while we certainly hope to be able to do additional seasons in the future, the nature of broadcast television is there's changes. And when you have changes in administration, they have changes in what their focuses are. And so Extinct was stopped after one season, not because we didn't accomplish what we were told to accomplish, but because there was just a different administrative taste and they wanted to do other things. So that's there's a little bit of Extinct. Hopefully that's what you wanted.
Yeah, no, you know what, you speak so, I don't know, like there's so many things that you're saying that I completely resonate with, because even as an actor, I was on a show called Silicon Valley, and they loved my character, they loved what I did with it, and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is great. We can create, like, I was even thinking they might even create like a storyline around me because of like the way they had set things up. And it was interesting because the writers had kind of alluded to stuff like that, but again, change of direction when you have new writers come on board, which they did, and they wanted to flush out like a really good storyline. Some characters just weren't needed. right? And that's just from a simple acting perspective. But yeah, I totally know what you mean when like networks change directions, different administration, different focuses, and then you know it's almost like, well, you don't have the power anymore to do what you wanted to do to begin with. But I guess let's kind of focus on that, like, because I feel like you've had like your fair share of like really amazing projects and great things that you were able to do, but then the focus changes, right? Like a network changes their focus, and then you're like, all right, well, let's go for the next thing. And you know that leaves a lot of people feeling like, oh my gosh, we're in complete uncertainty.
Yeah.
You know, we have no idea what the next thing is. But somehow you and Ryan have been able to thrive, and GoFilms is able to keep on going and making films, like no pun intended, but seriously. So how have you guys been able to carry on and keep moving forward?
Well, it's interesting you bring up the idea of uncertainty, because certainly those of us currently right now
Yeah.
feel that uncertainty, right? For reasons beyond entertainment and that, you know, just the nature of COVID-19 and the changes that have occurred in all of our lives. I think I have to say, I was mentioning to a friend yesterday that while there is this uncertainty, it doesn't feel necessarily abnormal based on the chosen career choice, right? Like you understand, like, just that uncertainty with what people want and what they like. And of course, as an actor, it's different than it is for me as a producer, but it's similar in the sense that there's always uncertainty associated with, will they like what we're providing? Will it change? How will it change? And, you know, the nature of a creative endeavor just requires a great deal of uncertainty. But so I think maybe in context of where we as a society are right now, while I still feel that uncertainty and that uneasiness that comes at times, it's because I guess I'm accustomed to it professionally. Maybe I'm dealing with it just slightly different than others who don't necessarily deal with the uncertainty, you know, beyond this. I don't know, but nonetheless, I think the way that in the 18 years that Ryan and I have, you know, had GoFilms, you know, where our primary focus started out as feature film endeavors and has morphed into still doing features, but also adding episodic television and documentary and docudrama and commercial type stuff. It's just kind of just spreading out, you know, potential opportunities to utilize the skill set that we've developed and the talents that we have developed and been blessed with, to be able to try to create content in a variety of ways. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but those
no,
are.
I mean, I think so, because the thing is like you've learned to diversify, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing. I mean, I feel like if you're inflexible, if you're not willing to like look at all the options placed before you, then you'll probably be more miserable, you know, and you'll feel like the sense of like despair that kind of comes with it. But I mean, even something as like the rise of digital media and the rise of YouTube and stuff, like, you know, I came into the world of acting as going through the traditional space, right? Um, having an agent, going to auditions, and also producing stuff as well. So doing like longer form stuff. But now it's like, oh, anyone can create their own content and put it on YouTube. And if that gets exposure, then that could like lead to like more things. And so things have definitely changed, I feel like, since the way like I grew up getting into the business. But I think that's a beautiful thing about it, right? Is to figure out all the different ways that things are going and saying, all right, look, there's all kinds of different opportunities here. And if I just kind of paint myself in one corner and say, this is the only option I have, this is the only place I can put my energy, and the energy is full of uncertainty, it leads to feeling very discouraged and unhappy. But I love the fact that you guys are doing more stuff and commercials for sure. In fact, now could be a good time to show them the last commercial. One of the commercials that I recently did was an RC Willey spot, and I was so grateful to find out that Adam and Ryan were on that spot. So without further ado, Adam will find that.
Yes, here it is. I just have to get it loaded.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Okay. Oh gosh, here we go.
Did I share the right screen, or do you see?
Yeah, I see it. I totally see it. You better start to play
There it
because
is. Look at that.
it looks
That's
terrible.
Do I
Yeah.
need to play it at all? I mean, could we just
You know
look at
what? That still image is great. That still image is great.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Without further ado.
Okay.
Hey. Oh, sorry. Can't finish up a big project right now.
President's Day sale at RC Willey isn't a sale.
Oh man, that is.
I almost want to just like replay it again, for you, just because it's so good.
It's just a lot of depth.
So good. So good.
No worries. It's so funny because wait, when did we do that one? We did that one.
That was in
this year?
January, I think.
It was this year.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
It was this year. That's right.
I know January feels like it was last year, but it was only
Dude.
months ago.
This is crazy. I know. Like time is in a weird place right now because of all the stuff going on. Yeah, we did that this year. It was awesome, and it was fun to work with the whole gang again. And I just keep thinking like the one of the beautiful things I love about life is how unpredictable it is. Like there's just no way I've been able to predict any of the things that have happened in my life, or and I don't know if you feel the same about your projects and stuff that you guys have created, and think, oh wow, like I don't know if you would have thought when we were doing Extinct, we'll probably do a ton more episodes and a ton more seasons, or hopefully more like that. And it's like, okay, cool, now we're gonna do commercials, now we're gonna do this. But I think the important thing I'm learning, and I see this from your example, is just to really thrive, you have to be willing to like look at all the options and just put your energy towards things that are working and let go of things that aren't working and keep on going.
Well, I've appreciated the joyful persona that you are, and I know that I think that's a gift, because life with all of its uncertainty, irrespective of your professional pursuits, but just life in general. I believe that the objective is to find that joy, and I think that you are someone who obviously personifies it and brings joy to other people in spite of all the uncertainty that life has in your own life as well as the world around you. So I've always appreciated that about you, Charan. Well,
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, the thing is, I think I had this thought. This actually happened to me when I attended BYU as well, and it was a really profound day because I don't even remember the details of it. All I remember was everything that could go wrong went wrong that day. Okay. I may have failed a final or a class or I don't know. I didn't get a homework assignment done. I don't know what it was, but whatever went wrong. But the oddest feeling came over me because even though all those things were happening, for whatever reason, I found joy inside of me. Like I was just happy. And it didn't make sense logically. And that's what made me laugh about it. I'm like, everything that could have gone wrong outside did go wrong. So why am I happy? And it's something I've like really kind of thought about because that feeling, like over the course of my life as I've gotten older, has permeated. And there have been times when I'm like, man, things have totally gone wrong, or have not gone according to the plan or the logical way I think that they should go. But yet I've still found joy. And everyone has like their own way of doing that. I have my own, I've got my own spiritual beliefs, and whether you choose to believe what I believe or choose to believe whatever you want to believe, it's great. I think the important thing is if you can find that like you can let go of attachments to like a particular outcome to be happy and kind of more or less like live presently and find the joy right now, then things tend to be more of a byproduct rather than the source of your joy, if that makes any sense at all. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to have a certain project go a certain way or anything like that to be happy. So I don't know. That's what I've been doing. So
I believe the same, Charan. I think you should start up that gurus thing again that you were doing. I think more of that would be good.
Dude, I haven't even posted them, but I've got some more. I've got some more. Well, Adam, I appreciate you chatting, man. This has been awesome. Do you have anything more you'd like to add or share or anything like that?
No, hopefully, I'm not sure how many people actually finished the end of the video, but for those that stuck around, thanks. And I appreciate the opportunity. And I know that you've interacted with a number of our mutual friends on this, and likely interview and do others. But I think this is great, particularly at a time when people are spending a little more extra time on social media.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to proliferate the social media with something hopefully positive and encouraging and uplifting. But it's good. And I appreciate the chance to do this, Charon.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And good luck to you. And hopefully when this is all over, we can go grab some sushi or something. Okay.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Adam. Take care.
See you.
Okay. Bye-bye.